Okay, I'm back. I'm ready. Let me tell you a story. So I'm wearing this shirt. It's called Erbil. It's in Iraq, and my husband was stationed there for a year last year. And if you were watching the news in December, November, and January, our base there got hit by mortars, and we medevaced 50 soldiers out of Iraq with brain injuries, facial injuries, and such, and my husband was among that number. So he was medevaced out of Iraq to Germany, and from Germany, Portsmouth, and from Portsmouth, I brought him home in June, and he has a traumatic brain injury, plus, plus, plus. He's still in the Navy. He's getting out, hopefully. He's a CB, so he's combat ground, and on his good days, he built me this office. We have stacks of drywall in our dining room, and he just fell through the drywall. So that's why I had to stop the video and go help get him up and then clean up and put the 12-year-old to bed. And now I'm back, and it's still dark, and we're going to still talk about poetry diversity. So here we go. Limerick, a crazy poem. The limerick has 5 lines. This is a humorous nonsense verse in 5 anapestic lines rhyming A, B, B, A. A lines being trimeter and B lines being dimeter. We're not even going to go past that because we have to have a conversation. One of the documents you should have a link to, and maybe it's for download also, looks at poetic meter. It looks something like this. It's got examples and definitions. And we're just going to look at the definitions that involve limericks, okay? The first thing is that it has anapestic lines. And when we look at anapestic, it means 2 unstressed syllables followed by a stressed syllable. This is a 3. Trochee and anapest are the 2-3 beats. So my Papa's Waltz would be anapest, and this one also anapest. 2 unstressed, 1 stressed, 1, 2, 3. As in the opening of Destruction of Cinnabar Trumb by Byron. But in our case, that's all we need to know. We need to know it's a 3 count. Now, when we talk about dimeter, trimeter, what we're saying is that the pattern happens 2, 3, 4, 5 times. A hexameter is 5, centimeter, of course, is 6, octameter would be 8. So this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If that happens 3 times in a line, we have a trimeter. If it happens twice in a line, we have a dimeter. So that's the first thing. Limericks are closed form poems. They're very, very strict, and they are so dang hard to write. They're an amazing, complicated poem that on the surface looks very easy, and in actuality, we should probably worship them because anyone who can write a limerick is a master of wordplay. It is a nonsense, humorous verse, but again, as we said, poetry always has to do with about the human condition, human nature, and the human experience. So even with the limerick, it has to say something about the human experience. When we say A lines and B lines, we're talking about rhyme scheme, right? Train, brain would be A, soup, dupe, B. So our A lines are going to be trimeter, meaning the pattern happens 3 times. The B lines would be dimeter. Edward Lear made the limericks popular in the 1800s. He was actually born in 1812. Some people think that limericks were first written in the town of Limerick, Ireland, but there's no evidence of that. It might be a coincidence. The limerick has 5 lines. The 3rd and 4th line are shorter than the others. Lines 1, 2, and 5 have 7 to 10 syllables and rhyme with each other. Lines 3 and 4 have 5 to 7 syllables and also rhyme with each other. Now, I'm really hoping you have the document in front of you because right now you need pen and paper while we dissect this thing, and you're going to be awed by it, I hope. This is a second version of Falling in Love. So the first thing we need to establish is the rhyme scheme. Is it A, B, A? So here's the example I give you. There once was a seed in the sky that rode on the wind way up high. The wind did die down, dropped the seed on the ground. A flower will grow by and by. So that's the limerick. Very silly, nonsense poem. Let's look at the rhyme scheme. Sky, A. High, A. Down, new word, new sound, B. Ground, that would be a B. It's a bit of an off rhyme, but it's close enough. By, of course, rhymes with sky and high. So we have A, B, B, A, 5 lines. So far, that's a check mark. If you're writing notes on this document, you should be documenting the rhyme scheme, A, B, B, A. Now, according to this document, my A lines need to be trimeter. In other words, the pattern repeats 3 times. There once was a seed in the sky. Yep, that's 3 hits. That rode on the wind way up high. Yep, 3 more hits. And then our other A line is a flower will grow by and by. Holy cow, that's another 3. Now our B lines are supposed to be dimeter. That means the pattern hits twice. So the wind died down, drop the seed on the ground. I'm like, wow. Okay, so not only is the rhyme scheme correct, but the meter is correct. Now the other thing that's supposed to happen is that it has 5 lines. The third and fourth are shorter than the others. Lines 1, 2, and 5 should have 7 to 10 syllables. So let's take a look. There once was a seed in the sky. That's 8, between 7 and 10. That rode on the wind way up high. That's 8, between 7 and 10. And then it says, line 5, a flower will grow by and by. That's 8, between 7 and 10. So far it's perfect. Lines 3 and 4 should have 5 to 7. The wind did die down. That's 5. Drop the seed on the ground. That's 6. Holy moly, now our syllable count is correct. So we definitely have a traditional closed form poem. It's called a limerick, and they're very difficult to write, even if they look quite simplistic, because they have a really strict structure code that it has to abide by. Now let's talk about what it means. So on the surface, it's supposed to be humorous, funny, a little bit silly, or light. There once was a seed in the sky. Yeah, that's kind of weird. That rode on the wind way up high. The wind had died down, dropped the seed on the ground, the flower will grow by and by. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. It's silly, it's goofy, it's nonsense. Doesn't actually make sense to some of us. I agree, it's a limerick. But we said that all poems are about the human experience. So let's dig a little bit deeper. There once was a seed in the sky. What could seed be symbolic for? An idea, an inspiration, a moment of, planting a seed, giving somebody just a taste of something that later will become a reality. Sky, what could that be symbolic for? Endless possibility, maybe potential, maybe one's lifespan, right? It goes and goes and goes. That rode on the wind way up high. This dream, this potential, this idea, it just is up there. It's not taking root. We're not really conscious of it. It's just in our vastness of our mind. It's in the universe. The wind did die down. Every once in a while, we hit a point in life where there is no wind, where it's still. And in these moments, we start to pay attention. Maybe we start hearing or seeing things differently. And this is the moment when the seed drops to the ground. It finally has fertile growth area. There's opportunity, there's chance. A flower will grow by and by. Now I have a personal connection to this poem because when I was in the Marine Corps, one time I paid rent and I went to my landlord's rich house and there was a long driveway, and when I knocked on the door, a butler answered. That was kind of new for me. And they had me come in and sit down in a library. Now, I can tell you I've never seen a library. I'd never been in a library. But the idea that somebody would own a library beyond, let's say, Beauty and the Beast library, this was new to me. And I sat on the edge of my chair, so nervous, but I just was looking at all of the books. And I took it in. I wasn't a reader. I had no idea that I would someday teach English. I'd never traveled, and I definitely had never seen a house like that. I paid my rent. I said goodbye. Now, conservatively speaking, that was probably 1993? Something like this, almost 20 years ago. And, right, 90? almost 30 years ago. Shit, I'm old. Almost 30 years ago, this happened. Now, when I bought my house in 2013, I walked in, and past the kitchen was this room. Had a fireplace, really ugly actually, and had 3 windows and this big empty wall, and going into it was this archway. And I stood there and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a library. And everyone looked at me. They're like, it's actually a dining room. And I said, it has carpet and a fireplace. It's not a dining room. This is going to be my library. And everyone was like, where the heck did that come from? There once was a seed in the sky that rode on the wind way up high. The wind did die down, dropped a seed to the ground. A flower will grow by and by. That poem found me, and I didn't even know about it. This is a poem about the human experience. There are so many really amazing poems, and in each case, I would like you to take a look at what it's called, how it's built, and take the time to dissect it, because this is exactly what you're going to have to do with your lyrics. This is exactly what we practiced last week with our lyrics. And as we proceed, now we're kind of turning the corner, right? We're getting into real poetry, if you will, written poetry, old-time poetry, but still impactful, still important. I probably will post one more video tomorrow, but for now I need to do 3 English 1A videos about writing paragraphs using triangles. So that's it for me tonight. Have an amazing week 3. Please turn in your work. That's what I really want. I want to wake up and see my grade book full. If you do not have your textbook yet, don't freak out. Do all of the work and I will give you the chance to make up on your chapter highlights and your quizzes. No penalty. Have a good night, guys.